What's up everyone, and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Dana White saying he would rather see Michael Chandler, not Jorge Masvidal, against Conor. Jorge Masvidal has been making a bit of noise, calling out Conor McGregor for whenever the Irishman returns to the octagon. Conor hasn't fought since breaking his leg last July, and is slated to return later this year, although it's unclear against who and when. Masvidal, who fights at welterweight, has thrown his hat in the sweepstakes to fight Conor. But White has other ideas. In a recent interview with TMZ, UFC President Dana White was asked about the prospects of a Jorge Masvidal versus Conor McGregor fight, and this is how he answered.
No, I really like Chandler versus Conor after Chandler's last fight. There's plenty of fights to make. I don't know if that's the one, but we'll see what the landscape looks like when Conor comes back.
Chandler cut an incredible call-out promo right after knocking out Tony Ferguson at UFC 274 last month. Given that both Conor and Chandler are natural lightweights, and the fact that Conor is ranked number 8 and Chandler number 5 in the division, Dana feels this is the fight to make. In the past, Dana did say that Masvidal was simply too big for Conor. He's not completely against the idea of making this fight, since it would be a massive deal for the fans, but he's not sold on it being the right fight for Conor's return. What do you think? Do you feel Conor versus Chandler is the fight to make upon the Irishman's return? Or would you rather see Masvidal versus Conor? Mike Brown wants a big name for Dustin Poirier in the welterweight clash. Dustin Poirier has been going after the lightweight title for years, and while he's come up short each time for the undisputed belt, his coach, Mike Brown, feels that he still has it in him to fight for a belt again. At the same time, he feels that the Diamond should move up to welterweight if the opportunity for a big-time bout presents itself. Brown, a former fighter and current coach, is in Singapore right now for the UFC 275 event in which he'll be coaching Joanna Jędrzejczyk against Zhang Weili in her highly anticipated rematch. But Brown is also fielding questions about Poirier, who's back in Florida training for anything that the UFC will throw his way. And for Brown, he feels that the Diamond has earned the right for a marquee matchup. Case in point, this is what Brown stated when he was asked what his preference was for Dustin, either to stay at 155 or perhaps move up in weight.
I think unless it's for a title fight, I'd say welterweight just so he's happy, because when he's happy, I think he's best, and that's where he seems to have his most fun. We're in the gym, he's clowning around, he's not killing himself dieting, and he's the most dangerous when he's having fun.
What do you think? Who do you think would be a great opponent for Poirier in his next outing? Robert Whittaker gives credit to Marvin Vettori, but says he's better everywhere. September 3rd is the date when Robert Whittaker will meet Marvin Vettori in the octagon, in what will be the first UFC event in Paris, France. This fight features some of the top middleweights in the world in Whittaker and Vettori, both of whom have lost to UFC middleweight champion Israel Adesanya. Whittaker, a former champion himself, is coming off a loss to Adesanya this past February, losing by decision. It was a rematch of their UFC 243 clash in which Adesanya beat Whittaker by knockout in the second round. Vettori, meanwhile, is coming off a win over another former title challenger in Paulo Costa last October, a catchweight bout at light heavyweight due to Costa missing weight. Vettori won that bout by a unanimous decision. Whittaker understands how dangerous Vettori is and how he's incredibly tough and well-rounded. Vettori loves to try and bully fighters, moving forwards constantly, but while he gives him the respect, Whittaker still feels that he's much better all around. This is what he said in a recent interview. All those things together make a dangerous guy, so I'm giving that the respect it deserves, but I think I'm better. I think I'm better everywhere. I think I can keep him in the reach and space that I want him, and I feel like I can take the fight wherever I want. Whittaker is saying that he wants to once again fight for the title if he can get past Vettori. Adesanya will be defending the title against Jared Cannonier at UFC 276, while there are rumblings that the winner of the Sean Strickland-Alex Pereira fight could get the next title shot. It's unclear at the moment who will be the number one contender following the Adesanya-Cannonier fight. What do you make of Whittaker's comments on Vettori? Don't forget to take a second to hit that like button and subscribe to the MMA Zone to stay up to date on all of the latest fight news. Gilbert Burns talks about adding a clause in his next UFC contract. From here on out, Gilbert Burns hopes to have all his future bouts be a full 5 rounds. Burns' last outing was against Khamzat Chimaev this past April at UFC 273. The fight was a back-and-forth affair for 3 rounds. Ultimately, Khamzat was declared the winner by unanimous decision, but Burns feels that 3 rounds is no longer enough for him and wants to just take on fights that are slated for 25 minutes. This is what he said in a recent interview about his intentions.
I'm not doing 3 rounds no more, brother. No more. If no one's calling me out, But if you're planning in calling me out, get ready to 5 rounds, because I'm gonna make that thing on my contract. So next fight they're gonna give me a new contract and then they say, just Poirier, I'm only doing 5 rounds.
He goes on to talk about how certain fights take longer to play out, and if both guys have the conditioning for it, then the fight should be 5 rounds. He also revealed that for his next fight, he's eyeing up Nate Diaz, Colby Covington, and Jorge Masvidal. He's also not ruling out a rematch against Khamzat and believes that any of these fights could go 15 rounds. What do you make of Burns wanting to fight only in 5-round bouts? The UFC earned $1 billion in revenue over the last year. A report detailing the latest revenue numbers for the UFC has been released, and it looks like the UFC has earned over $1 billion through from April 1st, 2021 to March 31st, 2022. The analysis report issued by Moody's in late May shows what we already know, and that the UFC greatly benefited from having fans return to attend events. The report comes over 15 months since the Endeavor Group acquired a majority stake in the UFC in March of last year. According to statements from the CFO of Endeavor, Jason Lubin, the UFC's fighter pay has increased 26% since 2005, yet 17.5% of the revenue made by the UFC is allotted to the fighters. What do you make of these figures?
He tapped? No way! No way! Jiri tapped him out! No way! No way! What a fucking fight! What an absolute fucking war, man! Shit, my phone's blowing.
Jake Paul to fight in August at MSG. Jake Paul is set to return to New York City for a boxing match against an opponent yet to be announced. Jake Paul shared a poster for the event on social media, which shows that the event will take place at Madison Square Garden with Amanda Serrano once again as the co-main event. No opponents have been announced yet. MSG is the same place that Jake Paul had knocked out Tyron Woodley last December. Meanwhile, Serrano's last fight was a loss to Katie Taylor this past April in the same venue. What do you think of this news? And who do you think will beat Paul's opponent? Today's video was packed with some juicy stories from the fight world. What are your thoughts about what's going on in MMA? Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to the MMA Zone to see more videos just like this. See you next time.